Well, it's been quite some time, but we are back with another edition of Sundays with Serby. The Knicks, they are 4 wins away from a trip to the NBA Finals, and that has the city buzzing right now about this current Knicks team. And New York Post sports columnist Steve Serby, well, he caught up with a man who knows exactly what this moment feels like for the Knicks, and he's been 4 wins away from the finals. He's made the finals. That is Hall of Famer, Knicks legend, and also current team ambassador Patrick Ewing. Steve Serby caught up with him, and now we are going to catch up with the New York Post sports legend, Steve Serby himself, who joins me now. Steve, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
Great to see you again, Dex. Hope all's well with your Achilles.
I'm doing well, getting there, getting better, getting stronger by the day. So I can't complain at all whatsoever. I'm really fine. But here's the thing, I do a lot of stuff around the Knicks, and I love seeing you talk to Patrick Ewing, and he talked a lot about sacrifice. He talked about everybody doing their part in this Knicks team. How much do you think this current Knicks team reminds him of the teams that he played on, those '90s Knicks teams that he led? Does he see any similarities at all? What did you get from him on that?
Well, the biggest similarity he sees is the similarity between Josh Hart and John Starks.
Hmm.
Big on intangibles, both of them. Obviously, Starks was a better shooter, except for that game 7 against Houston. But both were energizer bunnies. Both were tough as hell, tough as nails. Both infected the team with energy and effort and defiance. And that would be the biggest similarity that Patrick Ewing saw between those 94 Knicks and these Knicks. Of course, those Knicks, Patrick's Knicks, did not have Jalen Brunson. And Patrick mentioned to me that he didn't get a chance to play with a clutch talent, an elite talent like Brunson. And that would have made life so much easier for him during those playoff runs. But that 94 Knicks team, you remember that team, Dex. What do you remember about it?
Well, you know what I remember about that team a lot. I remember that spring. The Knicks were going for it. The Rangers were going for it. Obviously, the Rangers won that year. Great year for that team. The Derek Harper trade really sparked that team in the second half, and the Knicks obviously fell short. There's a lot going on in that finals. The OJ Bronco chase. There's a lot going on. So I remember a lot about that team. I was 11 years old, so I'm dating myself there, but I remember a lot about that team. My time in 5th grade, rooting for them to win a championship, but they came up just a little short, Steve. Just a bit
Yeah,
short.
well, look, that team, you remember that team didn't back down from anybody. They didn't
Yeah.
they didn't take crap from anybody. This team doesn't have the enforcers like Oakley and Mason
Mm-hmm.
that team did. And of course, Mike Brown has done a wonderful job, but he's not a Hall of Fame coach like Pat Riley. So those are the big differences. Now, what do you remember about the '99 Knicks team that went to the finals?
Well, it's funny. We are recording this. I believe it's 27 years to the day of Allen Houston hitting the shot against Miami in Game 5 of that '99 opening round series to win. Iconic shot off the front of the rim, off the back of the rim glass, and then in. I just remember that. I remember the city being on fire for that team because that was so improbable. It was a strike shortened year. The Knicks were not expected to do much. They were an 8 seed, but they weren't a true 8 seed because of the way that season was. Yeah, the city was on fire for that team. I remember the second round they swept the Hawks. You had that great dunk by Marcus Camby on Dikembe Mutombo. But the tough thing with that was Patrick Ewing with the Achilles tear, which is where I was going to go with you next. I'll bring that up in a second. But he tore
Right.
he tore his Achilles, and
Right.
then that kind of changed the fortunes of the Knicks and
You
that
know
team. But that was a fun team. Yeah.
that team was big on toughness and
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, and Jeff Van Gundy did a tremendous job. But that team had 5 players, including Patrick, in double figures
Mm.
during that playoff run.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
That is impressive. That was
But
a
I
very
think
balanced team.
this Knicks team is better.
I would
I
agree with
believe
you on
this.
that. I'd agree with you on that. I do think this Knicks team is better. I do think this Knicks team is more talented. But yeah, it was interesting to hear Patrick talk about his teams, in the '90s and the comparison there. And then for me, Steve, when I was reading your Q&A, I thought one of the most powerful parts was when Patrick talked about that Achilles injury that I just mentioned in '99, right? And playing through pain. He's known, you even brought this up to him. You said he's known as a warrior. I think that's the word a lot of people used to describe Patrick Ewing at the time. But he also talked about the emotional impact of not being able to help the '99 team. So after you heard him reflect on those moments and that, what do you think drove him more than anything else in his career? Because he's aware of that warrior mentality and that label that was on him. But what do you think drove Patrick Ewing to be great in his career?
Well, winning drove him, first of all. He grew up watching Bill Russell win 11 championships for the Celtics uh, when he grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, after he moved from Kingston, Jamaica. So he thought it was going to be easy winning championships, and he found out the hard way it wasn't. Of course, he won the 2 Olympic golds. He won one national championship at Georgetown in 3 tries, losing, of course, once to his nemesis, Michael Jordan, and once to Villanova. But in '85. But he remembers the pain of walking off the court in Game 7 with his buddy Alonzo Mourning, who was there in Houston to support him. He walked off the court depressed. The Houston Rocket fans were trash talking him as he walked off. And, you don't forget those things when you come that close. And then, of course, in '99, when he tore his Achilles, and he remembers after a loss in San Antonio, he couldn't help his team. And he remembers walking to the bus or hobbling to the bus and crying alone on the bus. And that has stuck with him to this day, the heartbreak and the heartache of coming so close. And he's such a prideful guy. He is the ultimate warrior, and he prides himself on being a warrior. And when I think of warriors over the years in New York sports, I think of Messier, I think of Eli Manning, and I think of Derek Jeter, among others. There are others, of course, but Patrick belongs in that warrior conversation. And his goal was to be the best version of himself, which he always was, and to bring home a championship for New York, which he came so close.
So close indeed he came. So I guess we'll wrap on this, Steve, because after talking to Pat and knowing what you just said about him being so close, that he was never able to bring a championship to the city during his playing days the way he wanted to, what do you think it would mean to him to see this Knicks team win it all in 2026? What do you think it'll mean to him?
Well, he talked to me about how the city embraced the Yankees and the Rangers when they won their championships. And of course, the Knicks haven't won since '73. So he would celebrate with this Knicks team. He credits James Dolan and Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes with welcoming the alumni back to the fold, back to the Garden, back to Celebrity Row. You see Allen Houston there, you see LJ there, you see Sprewell there, you see Starks there, you see Bernard King there. He would be in the huddle with them, and he always wanted the embrace of New York City. When he stood on that scorer's table after Game 7, after the monster game that he had against the Pacers, with his arms uplifted to the rafters, he soaked in the love that he sought from New York City that sometimes was not there. He had a love-hate relationship with Knicks fans who deemed him the savior, even though he didn't consider himself a savior. But that's what he wants. He wants one more time to feel the warmth and the love and the embrace of New York City for this Knicks team, which he feels a part of now.
Yeah, no, he should. And it's great to always see him and the alums of the Knicks back at the Garden. It's always fantastic to see all of them there, especially through these playoff runs over the last couple of years. That is Steve Serby, the great sports columnist for us with the New York Post. He has a fantastic Q&A with the legend Patrick Ewing that is out now on NewYorkPost.com. Check that out. Steve, It's been a while since we did this, but it's good to see you once again, my friend. Thank you so much for the
And
time.
well, always a pleasure, Dex, and wish Simone Henry a happy birthday for me. All right.
I will do. My daughter's birthday is coming up. Happy 10th to her too. I appreciate that. Thank you, Steve.
And continue good luck with your Achilles.
Yes, I need all the good luck and rehab so I could be running around like you this summer. That's what I need to do. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Dex.
All right.